During the good times when the cattle market has been favorable, we've taken that money, instead of spending it or distributing it, we've reinvested in the ranch. The ranch spent many hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure that we maintained these water rights. For generations, the philosophy has been to take half the grass by grazing and leave half. A huge investment that we feel will pay off in years to come. My name is Steve Roth. I'm the president of the IX Ranch. We have always strived for a culture of excellence. In hiring the best real estate attorney in Montana, the ranch has gone to the expense of doing this so that in the future there will be no question about the title. It will be clear and in the story. We've taken a lot of the old verbal agreements, which were handshake agreements that were handed down through the generations, and converted those to in writing and signed for not only access, but also our leases for grazing. And so this is, again, what we tried to do is prepare not just for today, but for ranching for the future. We're always trying to ranch for tomorrow. The ranch has gone to the expense of not only hiring an accountant that will deal with the tax structure of the ranch and the tax returns, but also one who can integrate the performance, financial performance and production performance to reflect on the performance of the ranch. We have two sets of books, one for tax, but one more for management based on accrual accounting methods. And so that we can not only manage for today, but for manage into the future. And the accrual accounting was developed so that we could provide transparency not only for the board members, but for the shareholders who wanted to know how the ranch was performing.
In order to keep with our best management practices, we have hired an accounting firm that is familiar with ag accounting and operations. And in order for me to manage the ranch and do that, managerial style accounting enables me to maintain a high level of understanding of where our expenses are. We've been able to put together key performance indicators that help us basically created a baseline for us to start with as to where some expenses were in key areas to manage. And then as we look into the future, it's been able to help us basically create trend lines that enable us to see where we're going and see what key financial numbers impact profitability. As we look forward, the concept is you can't manage what you don't measure, and working together enables us to look at where we were as far as a baseline, where we were with expenses, where we were with different costs of production, and we can now move forward and look into the future as to where we want to be with these certain areas of the ranch that affect our bottom line. The ranch was very fortunate back in the 80s to have a board member that could kind of see how important that was, and he developed a system that enabled the ranch to, from a computer basically, determine when we should move cattle from pastures based on how much they would graze based on their weight, etc. A component of ranch logs is also the inventory side. Every time we move cattle from one pasture to another, we count them. And subsequently, we're able to know at any given time while those animals are in a pasture how much they're theoretically grazing. For example, we might have 100 head that moved into a certain pasture, and I can look at any given time and find out that they've been in there for 10 days, but they only have, by the computer, they only have 10 days left before we need to move them. This is extremely helpful when you have a large operation, have cattle all over. As a manager, it helps you determine when you want to be moving these cattle and when you should maybe even be checking the range to find out if they should move or not. But basically the program is a cattle grazing management system and inventory system all in one. I'm very proud to say that we have some of the best people in the world working for the IX, and part of bringing those people in here is having not just a nice tractor to drive or a nice pickup to drive, but also a nice place to live. Over the past couple of years, we've been making improvements to the housing on the ranch. The people that are at home, not the person necessarily out doing the job, the people at home need to be happy too. We want to encourage families. We want to encourage families to not just work for the IX, but also come to the IX, and putting these homes in that have a little bit more space allow families to come for the times like Thanksgivings, Christmases. We put in a $250,000 home, and this year in 2016 we're putting in another $250,000 home, all with the thought in mind that these expenses now are basically expenses that will pay themselves off as we go into the future. We're bringing in these new families and new generations of employees and staff that will keep the ranch going and keep it in the condition that it is still today.
Okay, well, we're standing in what the IX calls the OB room. It's a building and a facility we built to assist in the calving of our first calf heifers. We put the heat in the floor. We overbuilt the boiler room and the deals for expansion down the future. We knew we needed a way to do this in a safe, economic, sustainable fashion. Pulling a calf in this facility here, there's almost no safety issues. I mean, you never have to get in with the animal, you stand behind. Everything's set up to be right there where everything's handy and can work well. We are able to shorten our calving seasons, and because of the strategic way we've got the doors and stuff set, anybody can get a heifer in here. And that was important to us, to make it easy to do the right thing that in the end can make you some money.
Water is the lifeblood of any ranching operation, and for the IX that is no exception. Over the past, probably over a period of 4 years, the ranch spent many hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure that we maintained these water rights, both irrigation and stockwater as well. And at this point, we have now completed the adjudication process for all the irrigation water and stockwater on the IX ranch, a huge investment that we feel will pay off in years to come. So to simplify that, this means that the ranch, IX Ranch, has all the water and can take all the water for irrigation purposes in all the creeks that are the sources of irrigation on the ranch. The grazing leases on the ranch are an integral part of the operation in the fact that they provide low-cost animal unit grazing. Because the leases are so important to the ranch and its operation, management in the ranch has invested heavily in the relationships that surround these leases and are integral to the maintenance of those and the longevity of those leases. We work extremely hard to preserve those leases and the relationships that we have with those. And as a result, we have had the leases for as many as 100 years.
The roof on this house is another example on the ranch on how we would like to preserve for the future the integrity of all of our buildings, but this house especially, that was built in 1899. We had a choice a number of years ago, and we couldn't decide what to do. There were several options of regular asphalt, shingles, which were the cheapest thing to do, and also the metal, which wouldn't enhance the beauty of this house. But we opted for steel, shake-looking shingles so that would represent or replicate what we had in the 1899s. The cost, of course, was reflected in our budget. It was 3 times what it should have been, but it will, for the next generation, last a good 50 years and probably maintain the integrity of the whole house. We want to preserve its beauty for the next generation.
In order to continue to ranch into the future or ranch for tomorrow and maintain the infrastructure during the good times when the cattle market has been favorable, we've taken that money, instead of spending it or distributing it, we've reinvested in the ranch in such things as water development and, in this case, fences, where we've put in new braces and basically tried to maintain the fences. So my plan was that that if we did get into an economic downturn like we had in the mid-90s and some part of 2008, that we could get by for 10 years. I was planning to make it so that the ranch could get by with 10 years with very, very minimal input into the infrastructure, and we still be able to maintain a high quality of product and production. So we've, again, put a lot of money into the fences. One of the most important measure of our production is pounds weaned per female exposed. And the Stockwater affects that in 2 ways. Primarily in the conception rate that's gained by good quality and high quality Stockwater, plus being very abundant, and also improves the weaning weights of the calves, who sometimes are not able to get to the water. So this system allows that. There are some so the cows can drink as well as the calves, and this is a high production well so that all the livestock get to drink. Another example of the over 150 Stockwater developments that the ranch has is a spring that's in the background behind me that is a large spring, and took us over 8 years to develop and actually find and trap the water. So in that location, there's 4 collection boxes there that have drain tile running out of them that then collect the water from the spring and put it into the collection box, and then collection box, and eventually put that all together into a single pipe. And it's put in a pipe called Driscoll, which is a gas line pipe that will allow that pipe to freeze and not break in the wintertime. And the environmental footprint is absolutely 0 within 2 years. You can't even see where the pipeline was put in. This ranch's greatest resource is its rangeland. And in order to steward that resource, for generations the philosophy has been to take half the grass by grazing and leave half, which allows us to, 1, maintain a decent cover, allows the plant to regenerate its roots, and also to reduce evaporation, and in the wintertime catch and hold snow. So in doing so, we have tried to always prepare for the future and to take care of the resource by really taking care of the grass that exists on that resource. And we have in the past, our solution to drought has been to depopulate in order to take care of this resource so that we would have it for not only this year, but next year and the following years.
I'm Todd Amsbaugh. I'm the ranch manager here at the Whitcraft location. My main focus here is overseeing all the day-to-day operations of the Whitcraft location here. As far as tractors are concerned, we try to run our tractors somewhere with that 4,500 to 5,000 hour mark. It reduces our downtime. We see very low occurrences of repairs, or at least any significant repairs. We also are seeing a much better return on our trade values with the dealer. We currently run our balers somewhere 8,000 to 10,000 bales, which basically gets us rotating them every 2 years. So we have 1 new baler every year and 1 year-old baler, so keeps our downtime to practically nothing. Hay production is one of my large focuses throughout the ranch. Our irrigated hay production on the ranch is predominantly alfalfa stands or alfalfa grass mixed stands. We look at rotating those stands out every 5 to 8 years depending on production levels. Recently we've seen some of our highest hay production over the last probably 5 years that we've seen in my tenure. Most of this is due to current rotation plans that just keep us in high quality, high productive stand. We've seen a lot of change in the last 10 years. We have one older pivot that was here when I came to the ranch, and at that time it was the only pivot. And now we currently have 5 pivots on the ranch, all in very, very new condition at this point. We've also invested into putting some of the, transferring some of the ditches into pipe to reduce ditch loss and allow us to get the water to the pivots in a much more efficient manner. 2 locations on the ranch, the NL and the Seifert, both have storage reservoirs to supply water to the pivots. The NL is the smaller of the 2. The Seifert, on the other hand, when it's full, we could actually irrigate the entire year for the most part out of that reservoir. The ranch strives to be good stewards of the land. Some of the improvements we've made over the years, we have hired an engineer to come in and audit the ranch, and therefore we removed any underground fuel storages to eliminate any possibilities of leaks. We removed a post-dipping vat that we had and cleaned that up so that we had no type of environmental issues there. We've currently removed all ranch garbage is taken to the local dumpsters for landfill and not deposited on the ranch. All the used oil that comes off the ranch out of the shops is collected. We take it off ranch to local people that use it for oil burning stoves. So that is all, I guess, taken very good care of, cleaned up. No residue left around the buildings and that type of thing. Metal from the shops, the barbed wire, that kind of stuff is all collected, and we haul that to the local recycling.